All right, I'm going to cover the electrifying moves the Dolphins made today to give a brighter future to their franchise and to their fans. You ready? Sorry, I had to do that. I think I'm going to add some crickets after this to this little section. All right, we didn't do nothing. We got rid of Phillips. I still think that was a good trade. But boy, we need a lot more of that. I'm not gonna paint this picture as we're doomed. I'm certainly not gonna paint this picture as like this was 50D chess. There's curiosity to the non-moves. And I was like, all right, well, I understood it. Maybe we just didn't get offers or whatever. But I just heard or saw two little posts on the X that made it very, very curious. But we've got to remember, whether the leadership knows or not, we're in a total rebuild. And it's not about a sprint. It's about a long-term vision. And so as we go through this process or non-process, we have to keep that in mind. What's the vision and philosophy in a long-term purview? Now, clearly, the Jets making big moves, moving Sauce and Quinnen Williams, they're going to have 5 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks over the next 2 years. They're going to have an unbelievable pick this year because they're in a magical tank mode. They understood where they're at. Really, we're in the same spot, and we should have taken a page out of the book, although we didn't have the same ammo. I don't think moving Waddle would have been wise unless we got a haul. I don't know if it was offered, if it wasn't. I understand he's got a reasonable contract. He is talented. He's semi-young. You can trade him maybe going forward. Maybe you get more opportunity in the offseason or something. But not moving Minka and not moving Chubb, especially Chubb, is ultra curious. Those guys are not long-term players. It's not a long-term vision players. That's a short-term vision. And, people are saying, well, we got rid of Greer. We got Greer Jr. He really didn't do anything. Although if he was Greer Jr., he would have probably moved the stuff, just probably screwed up the picks when he got him. And then I'm hearing other people say that really there were other forces outside of Champ Kelly that were kind of calling the shots on these picks. I don't know. It's just information that's out there. We'll see long-term what the deal is. But clearly this wasn't a big set of moves to put us in position for the long-term haul. Moving off Chubb and Minka would have helped us get better picks and a higher, better ammo for the season. All this is going to do is help us win an extra game or two. And it's not going to be conducive long-term. And when you look at the Bills, they've got Allen, they've got talent, they've got a winning pedigree. And then you look at the Patriots, they've got money. They look like they're headed in the right direction. They've got a top coach. The team is really coalescing around and they're doing, yes, it's an easy schedule, quote unquote, whatever it is. We had an easy schedule last year. We couldn't manage it. But they look like they're in a better position. And now the Jets, they got huge cap next year and the year after. It's like $200 million in 27. And they got these picks. And you could say, well, they had big picks in 21 and 22, but they found some pretty good players. They didn't totally crap out. Now, they could crap out. You look at this year's draft, and it wasn't bad. They've got some hits on it. It's not totally a terrible draft. So even if they're adequate at it, they're going to get guys with all these picks and a high pick this year and likely next year too, that it's going to put them in a better position than us unless we draft extremely well. There's a totally different crew than 21 and 22. But if you just look at the opportunity, they've got a much better opportunity to fill out a bad roster than we do, along with the money that they've cleared. So I'm going to get into these two little X posts. Jason Sarney, who I love, reposted this from Adam Schefter. Despite getting calls for Jalen Waddle and Bradley Chubb, the Dolphins did not make another deal before the deadline and opted to hold on to them both. Now, that's not saying Minka. Maybe nobody wanted Minka. I don't know. I heard some teams were interested. We don't know. But clearly, They had opportunities to move Waddle, and they had opportunities to move Chubb. And as I said, the Waddle thing I can understand because it's a piece that you can move later. You don't have to move it now. But Chubb is clearly a piece you should have got off. And the only reason you don't is because you're trying to maintain some level of success this year because he's not a long-term piece. But over here, you see Armando Salguero. Dolphins could have saved $20 million in cap next year and some $43.5 over the next 2 seasons by trading Bradley Chubb. Couldn't or wouldn't do it. It makes no sense. It really doesn't. The only reason it does make sense is if you're trying to have a semi-competitive team this year. You've got Daniels down at Washington. You've got Mariota in there, and maybe you're trying to get that win there. The Jets, they're clearly going to lose to us. They're going to throw that game. That's their plan. So that's 2 more wins. I'll give you 4 wins. There's a few other teams out there that got major issues that maybe we can beat. They're planning. So are they trying to create a scenario where McDaniel doesn't look so bad? I don't know. I just know that it's stupid, not to move off Chubb. Yeah, he's playing pretty good. He's like 30, going to be 31 next year, I think, with an injury history and tons of money. And I'll go over our cap next year, and I hear people saying, our cap's fine. It's not true. I'm going to show you. So really, the Dolphins didn't put themselves in position. I mean, I like the 3rd-round picks. That's nice. But if what we're doing here, it looks like we're really not moving off of a lot of pieces, and we've been in a lot of these games, and it could go either way. We could find ourselves getting 3, maybe 4 wins with some of these teams are totally crapping out. And what is that doing for us, aside from making the current regime look a little bit better? So if you look here in this graphic, 2026, we're at negative $12 million for the season. We only got 36 players. And, you talk about getting rid of guys. This is pre-June cuts. So you would need to cut these guys to have money in free agency to fill out your roster next year. Getting rid of Tua is minus $42 million. You can't do that. No way you could do that. Tyreek Hill, yeah, you can get rid of him, but it's 28 dead and 23 savings. So all that's going to get put on the cap this year and some next in 27. That's, you'll have a little bit of money, but it's not glorious. You need to do that post-June. But again, that money won't help you in free agency. Chubb, pre-June, you can't get rid of him. $24 million dead and 7 saved pre-June. That's got to be a post-June as well. Obviously, Waddle, Seal, Brooks, you're not going to go there. Austin Jackson. People are talking about getting rid of Austin Jackson. Pre-June, it's going to cost you $14 million and save 2. So you're going to have Austin Jackson next year, and he's terrible. Ingold is a guy you could save $1 million. Sanders, you could save 3.2. Maybe you go that route, but that's pennies. Minka, you can't do it pre-June. That's $13 million. Save only 6. Could trade him. That's a way to kind of move some of these things forward, but it's not super conducive. And then you go to the bottom, you got James Daniels, who's played how many games? Pre-June, 5 million dead and 100,000 saved. So none of those guys are going to bolster your options for free agency next year. And then even if you move off some of these guys, you're pulling out talent and a body, and you got to replace it, and that costs money. Now, if you look next year, Jets have $94 million, Patriots $52 million. Clearly, that's going to allow them to compete in a financial setting more than the Dolphins. Bills, they're at negative 3.4. They're battling it out as far as the cap, but clearly with Allen, with some of the talent they've got, and a lot of the key talent signed long-term, it's not like they're going to take a major hit. So if you look at the opportunities and potential for the Dolphins next year, we are not going to have really a super edge in the draft pick. Certainly not with the with the Jets. We'll be matched with the Bills, probably better than them. Higher draft status, maybe an extra third. I think they have like 2 fourths. So a little edge there. The Patriots, they have all their basic picks, but they'll probably draft in the 20s or something. So there's a little edge there, but not such an edge that it's going to put us ahead of them. And so what is this saying about our design? What is this saying about our vision for the long term? I just don't think that Ross wants to reboot. I think Ross, and it's just my opinion, it's called an opinion. Some people get upset if you got an opinion, but then they give you their opinion. But I'm giving you my opinion. If you're looking at this objectively, what's the philosophy and the vision? It's a holding pattern for something, and we don't have a team for a holding pattern. If you want to get a good GM and head coach here, do you think they're going to want to come in strapped with that salary cap? Do you think they're going to want to come in for an extra 2 third-round picks? Is that going to be a huge selling point? All this seems to be doing is creating an atmosphere to kind of keep the main crew, give them a possibility to look decent enough, McDaniel being, to get that extra year. And if you win a couple extra games because you're not dumping Minka, you're not dumping Waddle, although I'm not saying that's the best move, and you're not dumping Chubb, then you're probably not going to get a top pick for a quarterback. And there's going to be a race towards these quarterbacks. Likely the Jets will grab one. Maybe there's another team. Giants have a top pick. Saints are probably going to want to go quarterback unless Shuck does really well. Titans won't, but the Titans and the Giants, they're going to probably find trading partners. And how much ammo are we going to have to move up? If we spend extra ammo to move up for the quarterback, that's going to strap our future. So I don't really see the rationale to keeping Chubb. You should have just gotten rid of him to get rid of him, to help with this tank, to help with the financial future. And the fact that you held on to him and Minka, it makes no sense because you're further constricting your opportunities in free agency. So I don't know, guys. I'm not saying we're doomed, but it doesn't seem like the people at the top who are controlling this, whoever that might be, understands where we're at, which is a total demolition of the things we've had in the past, not just moving off the dunce architect Greer, but more than that. We have to wait to see to the offseason. We don't know. Maybe there's a really top-flight GM or top-flight coach that wants to come here, and then they're going to be fine with that terrible cap space. They're going to be fine with no extra ammo. I don't know. Maybe they'll be fine with McDaniel. Maybe they'll be fine with Tua. Maybe they'll be fine with Champ Kelly. Maybe they'll be fine with Ross and what he likes to do at the top. I don't know. Maybe Ross will say, hey, I'm dumping it all, changing it all, get rid of Champ, get rid of Tua, get rid of McDaniel. I'm going to change my ways, and somebody's coming in here. But this did not lean towards us setting our future up right. And that's what it's all about. This team will not be a serious contender till at least 2027, more likely 2028. You go through the list of players. We do have a chunk of younger guys, but I'll get into that at a later date. But when you look at the layout of them, there's not real stars there. Some of them are bunched up in similar position groups. There's a lot of key positions that you really need high ammo usually to get good players at that position. So I just don't see us being ready for until 27, 28, and this hasn't helped us. So that's it. I wish I had better news for you. I hope I'm wrong. Maybe they've got a 50D chess plan that I'm not seeing. But this does not move us forward where we need to be. But we got rid of Greer. Let's see how it plays out. We'll know a lot of real stuff that we could put our foot in the ground come the off season. The reality is by January, mid-January, so if we're going to get a top flight coach or GM, we should have them by then. So we have about 2.5 months to wait and see what this grand plan is. But this does not feel like a winning set of moves. But we'll see. We did get a nice pick for Chubb. Had to move off him. See how the Dolphins work the tank or not. And then see what happens in the offseason. Anyway, Curtis saying, be well, go Fins. Curtis out. Start building your own online sports book today by getting signed up with aceperhead.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around the world.